We'll try the library here and see if connecting to the library Wi-Fi and see if
that goes on the other. I got too many things on the front burner that are happening right now. I can't really say.
I'll look. Yeah, I don't
Jenna
remember what's from
Lane.
Unmasked one.
Did it come from you or who did it come from?
it came from Donna.
All right.
But it had all my stuff in
Yeah.
it. Let's see.
We are now in open session, and also quick amendment, when you're speaking, you can unmask yourself just to make sure that people can hear you, but when you're not speaking, we ask that you please put back on your mask just so we can adhere to public safety rules. So with the quorum still being present, correct? Yes. Okay. With that, we will move on to the motion of the approval of the minutes. The minutes, I'm going to make a motion that we do it in consent. Just for your guys' background, it's going to be the open minutes from the last full board meeting, which was last month, the closed session meeting minutes as amended, and each of the committee reports that were submitted. With that, I would like to motion that we consent all meeting minutes of September 16th, 2021. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Smith, second. All those in favor, is there any questions or any points of discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The minutes have been approved. We will have a welcome to the Crofton Library by Miss Bradford, who's the branch manager here. The new one, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
I'm the new branch manager. Hi, I'm Joni Bradford.
And Joni, if you could come closer, the microphones here are where they can hear you better.
And if you don't mind, if you could take your mask off. I have a hard time hearing.
Sure.
Understanding what they're
Thank
saying.
you.
Sure. Well, welcome everyone to the Crofton Library. The staff and I are really glad to have you here. Yes, I did just transfer to the Crofton Library in July. Before that, I was the branch manager at another awesome branch, that's the Vernon Park branch. But I came here and I was trying to think of some things that would interest you about the Crofton Library. And I thought I would just tell you some of the things that I love about the Crofton Library that made me want to come here. One thing I will tell you is this community is just wonderful. Now, I live here in this community, so I'm definitely biased, but it is a terrific community, and the branch does so many things with this community. We are really, really involved with the community here. Right when I first got here in August, we were one of the few locations in the county that did the National Night Out. So that was really a lot of fun, and it was a great opportunity for me to get to know a lot of our customers, and I also got to know a lot of our community partners that way. So definitely the community was a big draw for me. And I also, the staff here is incredible. They're, very, very interested in trying to reach out, finding opportunities to get involved any way they can. I don't think we were the first branch to actually resume in-person programming, but I think we were one of the first branches to do that. And we have been doing our wonderful fresh air story times out on the lawn. And I get so much customer feedback about how much people love those opportunities to interact, which, they're few and far between sometimes nowadays. So that's one thing. And then the other thing that kind of plays into that I love about this branch is the outdoor space. That's something that I was really thrilled. I've never worked in a branch or managed a branch that had this kind of beautiful outdoor space to take advantage of. Now, our custodian, John, might disagree with me because he has to mow it, but it is a lovely lawn. And in fact, next month, we're doing a partnership with the Watershed Stewards Academy where they're planting trees. We're getting 20 new trees over by our containment pond area. So the grounds give us a really good opportunity to be interacting with the community as well. We have a wonderful garden club here too, who help us out quite a bit. And I love this building, actually. You see all the great windows and the light that comes in here. That's something that I love about this place too. If you go out into the main library, you'll see it is bright and airy and it's a great place to spend some time. So I really like that. Some of the older buildings I've worked in have not had that opportunity. So it's very nice. And I think our customers appreciate it. So I'm happy to show you around. If you'd like to come out after the meeting, if you have some time, I'd be happy to walk around the building with you and show you, give you the little free tour. So feel free to come over to the information desk if you like. I'd be happy to do that. And I think that's about all I was going to say. So welcome.
Thank you.
And don't hesitate to ask if you have any questions or if I can help in any way.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I think one thing we'll come to appreciate is as we start circulating around to the different library branches, the different characteristics of each library and the community that it serves. So thank you, Ms. Bradford, for being the first of many branch managers. Now, which I'm really excited for is an award presentation from the Citizens for Public Libraries, their Outstanding Employee of the Year Award. And Ms. Wheeler and I'm sorry if I missed.
Jay Bonds.
And I will allow Ms. Wheeler to Bonds. I'm gonna say Mr. B, as I like to
Okay,
say
that's fine.
in elementary school when I couldn't.
I was in elementary schools for years and
Yeah,
Mr. B is fine.
Thank you. I will gladly turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Shorter, and congratulations to you. We were very delighted to hear the news about the trustee citation. That is really a huge deal and good, good for Anne Arundel County Public Library.
Thank you.
For your leadership.
I'm thrilled to be back today. As president of Citizens for Maryland Libraries, my name's Jay Bansback. I was the program specialist for school libraries for the Maryland State Department of Education. But before that, I spent 23 years here in Anne Arundel County Public Schools and worked with public libraries throughout my career, both as a library media specialist and then in central office. In fact, one of my last assignments was the old Crofton Library branch over here where we had media services relocated. So I'm very familiar, a lot of familiar faces in the room, folks that I've been on committees with and shared meetings with, in-service meetings. Jan was a library media specialist in Anne Arundel County also. So I'm thrilled to be here, thrilled that you're celebrating 100 years. I'm about 5 minutes from the Mountain Road Library branch. In fact, pass it every day in and out. So and stick my head in frequently to see what's going on there. So I'd like to introduce Lynn Wheeler. Lynn is the executive director of CML. She's also the chair of the awards committee. And on behalf of the awards committee, we run a robust program of awards every year for the Citizens for Maryland Libraries. And I'm going to turn it over to Lynn at this point. So.
Thank you, Jay. And if I may, I'd like to invite Stephanie Petruso to come over and join me. Stephanie, this is for you, and I'm going to ask you to open it in a minute. But I would like to say that Stephanie, on behalf of the Board of Citizens for Maryland Libraries, it is my pleasure to congratulate you and Becky Haas for the 2021 Outstanding Employee Award for your innovative work to provide high-quality service delivery during the COVID pandemic. The CML Awards Committee was impressed with the letter of nomination we received from your CEO, Skip Auld, extolling your work to create an excellent virtual programming service model. He noted that the programming and outreach and virtual services departments quickly combined to create a new virtual programming task force that immediately set to work to provide a wide range of online activities. He highlighted the extensive platform of virtual programming resources and procedures that you developed to help staff communicate with customers. The Board of Citizens for Maryland Libraries is honored to recognize your leadership, your teamwork, your ingenuity, and your perseverance throughout the past year, which has been instrumental in guiding Anne Arundel County Public Library to a new service model. Now, enclosed is an award, and I would like you to get that plaque out. I'm sure Skip won't mind if you use his chair. And copies of our newsletter, which I'm going to distribute, if I may, to the folks in the room. Yes, those around. And in it also is a letter that outlines everything I just said.
Thank you.
And there is a check in there written to Anne Arundel County Public Library in recognition of the stellar work that the virtual programming task force did to enhance the quality of service in Maryland libraries. Thank you very, very much.
I'll get a photo with the award.
Oh, with your award? Oh.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Let's get one of you in the middle. On three, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you very
No,
much.
thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
And thank you guys for your leadership as well.
I would just like to say that I see Stephanie and I close up the shop at headquarters regularly. Actually, I should say Stephanie does, because I get on the page at headquarters and say, is anybody else here? And Stephanie pretty much always answers. She's got something like 600 or 700 hours over and above what can be carried over next year. It's unbelievable how hard she has worked. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you,
Got to give
Lynn.
Jay a copy.
Oh. Thank you, Jay.
Did everyone get a copy?
If you don't mind
Yeah,
leaving
take
some behind this.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Lynn.
Yeah, you too. Good seeing you.
Magazine.
They just should.
I love it. Let everybody know.
I guess the main question is, as you guys review this, Skip is on the front cover, but somehow I ended up on the 7th page. I don't know how that mistake happened though, but nonetheless, we will, I made it. That's the key thing in life. Also, now we're going to move on to our trustee briefing. And the trustee briefing, I know it's a new agenda item. The design of the trustee briefing is to give us a time in our full board meetings, a space and a placeholder if we want to do trainings or receive any large, high-level updates on what's going on in the library world, so that as trustees, we receive new information and we get a lot of the strategic juice flowing in a sense. So that's just a placer. So if, you know, as you may think of different concepts and subjects that you think is very important in the trends of libraries, it may just not be in Anne Arundel County, but nationwide or statewide, please let Skip and I know so we can keep a running list of, you know, these are important topics that as a board, we want to hear about and learn more about. So with that, our first one is Rudy, and he will be doing the trustee briefing as what we requested last meeting, and that's on board effects. So, Rudy?
I'm Rudy Riddell. I'm the chief of, I'm the library's chief of stuff. Buildings for the library. I was given 5 minutes to give this presentation. So I originally titled this, How to Get Ready for the Board Meeting in 5 Minutes. But then I realized, no, it takes a lot longer to get ready for the board meeting. So this is actually getting set up to get ready for the board meeting in less than 5 minutes. So here we go. You all have received, you've seen, and I see a lot of people working already with their laptops on Board Effect. It's the platform that we now publish all of our board governance documents. So all of the agenda, motions, minutes, and policies that the board acts on and is responsible for are on Board Effect. The glossy parts that needs to be filled out a little bit more, there's stuff that we still need to migrate to that site, but there are links in there to the other sites in the library's website that has that. So if you could call up a web browser, it doesn't matter which browser you use, Safari, Chrome, Firefox, Edge, whatever browser that you like to use on your home computer, on your personal computer, or on the devices that the library provides, it's going to work. You go to aacpl.boardeffect.com. That's in the cheat sheet that we handed out. So you've got that available. It has your username and your password. Your username is always your first initial and your last letter and your last name. So we have a test trustee. Her name is Ann Mazing. So she's her username is amazing, and type in the password. It's been decades since I've used one of these. Okay, so if you forget your password, don't call us. We don't see it. We can't see it. For security, we don't have passwords in the system. There's a self-service password reset right there. Just click on that and it'll send you an email with a link to reset your password. That's the way you do it. On your home computer, I strongly recommend you click the Remember Me button. Go and do that. That way, next time you go to Board Effect, or if you bookmark this, it pops open every time. Don't have to worry about passwords or nothing. And click Sign In. So here's the actual steps on how to get ready. First thing you do, you look at the welcome message, see if there's anything that's new or interesting or something you need to work on right away that's of interest to everybody. And then scroll down to the next meeting. That's a little more right there. You're right there. Perfect. All you do is click on the title of the board of the meeting, and it will take you to the meeting details. Now, this is exactly what you're going to see on your browser at home. This is a trustee that we're working with, so none of the weird permissions that all of us administrators have. This is what you're going to see. Scroll down a little bit more. Just look at the location, directions. I'm pretty sure that almost all of our meetings from here on out are going to be hybrid. So there'll be Zoom information here. Keep scrolling down. First thing you need to do is click on the RSVP, whether you're going to join us in person or virtually. Go ahead and click, it doesn't matter which one. Please do that each and every time for each meeting. That lets us know how many people are going to show up in every room. For instance, this room is really small. We had a lot of RSVPs for people on Zoom, so we knew we didn't have to accommodate everybody in this room. It's pretty important for us to know, still going forward for these COVID protocols. Once you do the RSVP, right there, all you do is click on book.
Rudy, can I ask you a question?
Certainly.
Okay, the only thing that's showing up on my screen is a little narrow thing that says username and password. So we're not following what you're doing online here.
All right.
Okay, let me see what's going on. Just a second.
Do you have to share screen?
It's sharing.
It's sharing, but it's cropping it weird.
It's cropping and it's frozen on the login screen, which there's.
Okay, I tell you what we'll do. I'll go ahead and record this as a separate little YouTube, and I'll stick it on YouTube, and you can come back and look at the presentation all the way through.
Did you catch that, Joyce? That he's going to record it?
Yes, and I know how to use it, so now it's working.
Okay, good.
It's working
now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he will be recording a YouTube and sending that out to everyone. So you could go back and review what he just said where you missed that part. Okay?
Okay. So once you have the book open, all the documents for today's meeting are in that book. All you have to do is click on the little banner right there that says expand all sections. And if you scroll down a little bit, or stop right there. So each one of these links now goes out to a document that we provide that's pertinent to today's meeting. If you don't have Word at home, it doesn't matter. Just click on it and it turns it into a PDF for you. No problem. So keep scrolling down a little more, and you finally get to, all the way. You get to the very end, and there's the marketing report. That's the really important one, because that's us talking about ourselves. And that's the end of the meeting. So that's how to get set up for board effect. Easy, simple. There's a lot of other little doodads and gewgaws that board effect comes with. We will go into those in more detail if you wish in future days.
Rudy, if you can, I'm gonna pick on finance and audit because Barbara's sitting next to me. I'm on that committee and I'm trying to prepare for that. How would I go to that committee tab?
Okay, so scroll up a little bit, if you would.
I can't get in there.
Up a little more. Up, stop, down. Keep going. Going. Right, well, I'm sorry, more.
No, if I'm going to a committee room.
Oh, if you're going, okay, so if you want to go to one of the committee rooms, so this is a little outside of what the original class is, so. Right out here, there's a button that says workrooms. Go ahead and click on that. And these are the committees that Miss Amazing is a part of. So she's a trustee, so she gets access to that room. She's also on the finance committee. She gets access to that room as well. Go ahead and click on that. And that will take you to the finance committee's workroom. And that's where you see all the finance committee's meetings, minutes, and so on. That's when you're working with the committee itself directly, separately outside of getting ready for tonight's meeting. In getting ready for tonight's meeting, their report is going to be in the board books. You'll see it there.
Yeah. Does that make sense, everyone? We're getting here. Anyone on Zoom, do you have any questions?
I just have a comment to make. I found it very easy to use the first time we went over it. I think it's a great system, and it's pretty facile to use. I mean, in my opinion.
I'll pass on that review.
Thank you. Are there anything else? And of course, if you have any questions, please bother Rudy, not me. Yeah.
If you would, please also bother your information staff at your branch library. We really want the board to make that connection with their local branches. So they know ahead of time, they know what to expect you. If you have a question, please go bother them. That's what they're there for.
That's the power of delegation and practice. So please, we have great library staff, so your home branch will be more than happy to help. And any feedback too, as we're going through this, will be very helpful. So with that, thank you, Rudy.
Thank you.
I know some trustees in the past have voiced the point of having something of a public comment section. So I put in the agenda. If anyone in the public wants to make a 2-minute remark to the board, they can do so right now. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak? That was easy. Moving on to the next item, and that is the chair's report. Nothing crazy to report on. What we're doing now is we're just going through the motions of, what we discussed during the spring and summertime last year. We're starting to see it in practice a little bit more. We're getting through the motions of working with board effect, going through full board meetings and then committees, full board meetings, committees. So it's just going through the motions at this point. So please, as I've always said, please keep the line of communication open. If there's something that I'm doing wrong, instead of Ms. Solomon always giving me a slap on the wrist, I will welcome a slap on the wrist from anyone on here. But that's how we know she likes you. Ms. Smith?
Is this time for me to speak for governance for a second?
No, it's not.
Okay.
You're coming up.
All right.
So that's where we're at now. Also, I would like to thank Stephanie, Donna, and our new member, Joey, for helping us out. It's your second week, right?
Yes.
And we haven't scared you away. We'll see if you're here at next month's meeting. Thank you guys very much for all your help, and congratulations, Stephanie, once again, and to Becky Hess, who couldn't be here today. But, you know, when we get a lot of national attention for the work we do, it's really you guys doing it. I just bang the gavel every 5 minutes or so. So with that, that concludes my report. Are there any questions for me? Hearing none, we will move on to the Foundation Board report. Ms. Beck and Ms. Miller?
I think I'm up first here, so for the love of the library is, of course, we all know, October 22nd, tomorrow. And tickets are still available at aacpl.net by clicking on the For Love of the Library image. Thank you to all the trustees who sponsored and bought tickets to the event. The virtual event will feature author Chris Haley, Lost Ark Distillery, wine tasting, and library trivia. Several library programs and services will be featured to inspire the community to donate to the library. The $100 for 100 years was highly successful and ended on September 30th. The foundation raised approximately $135,000 in donations to support programs and services at all 16 branches. Informational foundation kiosks will be placed in branches in the spring of 2022 and will feature the donors who participated in this campaign. In September 2021, the foundation board members implemented Board Effects, the online board portal. It's been well received by our board, and over the next few months, we will continue to update it with board and library documents. And lastly, Weed to Read, the volunteer gardening group at the Bush Annapolis Library,
Okay.
marked its first anniversary
We may have to give you another laptop.
with a celebration on September 11th. And the foundation hosted the refreshments, and approximately 40 people were in attendance for the Weed to Read. Joyce?
The F-22 board manual is available in Board Effect and is completely updated with new contacts, organizational chart, library information, and more. After today's meeting, it will be updated with our new bylaws and ready for print. You can download your own copy and print it. I know many have already downloaded and printed it and found it easy to do so. However, if you'd like Abby to print a copy for you, please let her know by Thursday, September 30th, which is already passed. We have 2 new board members, Martha Blacksall and Stacy Korbalak, who began their terms on July 1st, 2021. Cheers to 100 Years events were held in September 2021 at Anne Arundel County breweries, Forward in Annapolis, Firm in Crofton, Crooked Crab in Odenton, and Hysteria in Pasadena. These events were designed to help promote library awareness throughout our county. The foundation's I Love My Library glasses sold out, and by popular demand, a second order was placed. The foundation plans to hold similar events in 2022, meeting donors where they live and promoting library awareness and philanthropy. Over the summer, we were pleased to fund the new headshots for the trustees, staff, and foundation, as well as allocate $45,000 in funding in support of the Summer at Your Library program. Mission statement. The following customer quote illustrates the importance that donations are making on the library. And here's the quote. We are touring all the AAC libraries and collecting bookmark souvenirs this summer. We love the book bundles, such a good idea. You have a lovely branch. From a Happy Deal Library customer. The foundation supported the library's 100th anniversary with approximately $35,000 in funding for several projects. Bookmarks was just one of them, and it's exciting to know that the bookmarks inspired a customer to visit all the branches. And that's the report.
Thank you, Ms. Beck and Ms. Miller. Are there any questions about the foundation report? Hearing none, we thank you for that report. And moving on to the treasurer's report, Ms. Maxwell.
Thank you.
And please feel free to.
Oh, take my mask off.
Yes.
Here I ask other people and I
Yes.
forget. Rudy Rodella presented the fiscal year 23 capital budget request, joint with Governance, Strategy, and Organization Committee. Request was accepted by the committees. Cedric Grant reviewed the financial statements for June, July, and August 2020. There were no major expected variances in any month to date. Mr. Grant mentioned that American Rescue Plan Act requests are in the preliminary stages and more information will be forthcoming. Also, the library expects to receive the final financial audit from the county for fiscal year 21 in November of this year, 2021. Any questions or comments?
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, thank you, Ms. Maxwell, for the treasurer's report. And moving on to the CEO and ELT reports, I will allow you, Mr. All, to direct your staff if they have any reports in the order you would like.
Okay.
To go.
So I am going to talk about 6 items. The first is the most lengthy one, which is customer impact statements. We record all throughout the library system. Our staff record comments that people make about some of the positive things that are happening. I wanted to share a couple of those with you trustees. And then I have a few other items. But just to start with, this is a comment. We have 3 libraries, the Annapolis, Glen Burnie, and Discoveries, that I want to just give you excerpts. We get these on a daily basis. I probably have several hundred of these kinds of things in my inbox there. A couple of weeks ago, I needed help creating a new resume. The librarian, Gabby Norton, was so patient and helpful. I'm actually re-entering the workforce and quite rusty with Microsoft Word. Because of this young lady's expertise and professional approach, I'm happy to report I got a job and will be starting this week. Thank you for employing great people like Gabby. Second, this one's from Glen Burnie. I am adopted and I've just made contact with my birth mother. I've recently learned so much information about my family. Thank you so much for all the help with suggesting genealogical resources the library has to offer and for getting me onto the Ancestry website. This will really help me on my journey to learn more about my family. I'll be back and tell you what I have found out. And the last one, like I said, I've gotten just dozens of these, but I just picked out a few. This was at the mall library. The service that was complimented was the teen room and having the Nintendo Switch game console available. The person said, my 11-year-old and 5 of his friends tried to go to Play Nation across the hall for his birthday. Play Nation is the commercial entity that's just right across from Discoveries. But Play Live Nation, what is it? Play Live Nation? Whatever. Anyway, she wrote down Play Live Nation. Play Live Nation said they were full and turned them away. Jonathan, whose birthday it is, regularly comes to play the Switch. 6 11-year-old boys spent 2 hours in the teen room playing and reading together. The mom says, this is the staff member who's recording this. The mom says, quote, the library really saved the day. Originally, Jonathan wanted to do both Play Live Nation and the library with his friends, but we decided there wouldn't be time. Now they're even happier, and I'm happy because he isn't disappointed, and this is free. We love the library even more now. So it's just great to see these things regularly. Okay, so second item I want to mention, I included in Board Effect the sole source procurements, and you'll see that both of these are coming out of Rudy's divisions, Rudy's support services department. So the materials management, there's a couple of $1 million worth of sole source procurements. Probably the biggest one is $1.5 million that we authorized for overdrive for ebooks and e-audiobooks. Now, this is an authorization. They may not spend all up to the $1.5 million, but they may, and they have the authorization to do that. And frankly, with the changes during the pandemic, they switched things around and they're kind of working through that. But anyway, you see in your report there, if you want to take a detailed look, there's probably a dozen or so different sole source procurements there. Another one is $85,000 a year for BrainFuse, which is the homework help website and tutoring website that's available 365 days a year. That we keep, every time we mention it, people say, gosh, you should publicize this more, but it is a great service. On the information technology side, there are two listed. One is Comprise, which is our PC reservation and print management system. That's $77,000. And then BinTech, which is our self-checkout MeScan service. That's $28,000. So questions about anything there? Okay, my third item, I just want.
Let me,
oh, okay.
Anyone on Zoom?
Anybody on Zoom have a question?
Okay.
Okay. So the third item, we heard yesterday from Chris Trumbauer, who is the county budget officer, that that they have approved funding out of the American Rescue Plan for us to conduct the equity audit that we've been talking about. What this means is that we had already received $55,000 from the Maryland State Library, which was about half. We submitted to the county for the other half. And so we now have the full amount to be able to start working on this project. It'll take 18 months. It starts with a listening and learning section. It goes into trying to work to design a more equitable library system, and then finally implementing a fully adopted equity framework. So we are thrilled to get this. It's been about a year since we first got this proposal, and so we're going to be able to move forward with that. Questions on that? Okay, the fourth item I wanted to mention, I had a couple of my staff come to me talking about new titles that they think more accurately reflect the work they are doing. And so from here on out, Kathy Hollerback's title is Chief Operating Officer. Rudy Rodella's title is Chief Technology Officer. And Coven Roundtree's title is Director of Human Resources. So I wanted to just let you know their jobs stay the same, but they have new titles really reflecting kind of what they're doing for the organization. Two more items. About 3 weeks ago, there was an article in the Capitol and in the Maryland Gazette about the possibility of a library at Arundel Mills. I just want you to know that we had been floating this idea for several months, but we haven't really made enough headway on discussions. We're still in very early discussions with the mall management. And so we're looking at potentially trying to get that funded a year from now. So it won't happen now. We still think it's a great idea, but there's a lot of things kind of to work through before we can really put that forward. We think that next year we will put it forward to the Local Development Council out of Maryland Live first. But if that isn't successful, if they can only fund a portion of it, then we would take it to the county so that it would be funded in the same way that the Discoveries Library is funded. And keep in mind, we're talking about a branch like that is going to cost about $1 million a year. 3/4 of that is for the staffing to hire the employees, and the rest of it is for the lease. And of course, we don't know what the lease would be there, so we don't know what the cost of that is going to be. And then the last item I want to mention is that we still have a funding request in for American Rescue Plan funding for what we have been calling the Mobile Outreach Initiative. We've named that the Center for Community Engagement, and we hope to really develop that as a full-blown part of our library operation. If it gets fully funded, and we think that potentially it'll get partially funded this year, we just don't know. And of course, the Finance and Audit Committee will be developing the supplemental budget request next month in order to take that to the full board so that we can adopt our supplemental requests. But the full project is about $3 to $4 million a year. It would include 27 staff members, 8 vehicles, and about 3,000 square feet of space to house the department and to house the 8 electric vehicle charging stations. So again, stay tuned for that. And I am willing to take questions on anything I've talked about.
Any questions for Mr. Auld?
Skip, will this operate sort of like the bookmobile, or is it a different kind of service?
It's really a different kind of service. Probably 80% of it would focus on outreach to try to help young children prepare for kindergarten. So we know that there are 700 licensed childcare homes. There are pre-K, boys and girls clubs, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of places, and we would open up to, we would open up for applications so that we see where the demand is highest, and we would try to focus, and we would do outreach to try to reach those organizations that have the greatest need that maybe aren't even aware of us.
Okay.
Okay, so
Wait a minute. Are there any questions on Zoom? Okay. As you were saying.
Okay, so the executive leadership team have all submitted written reports. I'm going to turn to them and say, if anyone has a verbal report you would like to make, does anybody want to amplify anything that I said, or do you have anything?
Or the love of the library as well.
Oh, so Kathleen Sparrow said again, for the love of the library is tomorrow. It's virtual. There's a discount for staff, so we encourage all staff to come to this event. It's going to be great, and you don't even have to go to the event to bid on all these silent auction items. Kathleen, is there anything else you want to say?
Good job.
That concludes our reports.
Perfect, thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Auld or his ELT? Hearing none, we will move along to committee reports. So this is our first time doing this. So let me just explain. Each committee chair will give a brief high-level overview of what was discussed at their last committee meetings. And then for each item, you can explain it. If you will prefer the staff member who brought it to you to explain it, turn it over to them. Put the motion in, I'll take the vote, and then that's how we'll do it. So it sounds simple. We will see how it goes, and then we will go from there. Some items, and I'll put this motion in now. And I can't decide if I want to wear a mask or not. Because of how our bylaws are written, if it's the first reading within the full board, it has to wait 30 days since a committee has reviewed it and trustees have reviewed the policy. I would like to add a motion now that if there are any action items that requires a 30-day wait, that we waive those and we enact them when we vote on them today. Is there a second? Ms. Solomon seconds. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. First committee report, finance and audit, Ms. Maxwell. These are minutes from the last meeting as well.
This is what I just read for the finance and audit committee meeting. Now we're going to do the treasurer's report.
No, you won't do the treasurer's report.
I just did this one. You want me to do it again?
No, you don't have to do it again. What you can do now is if you already stated the high level, you can, there's one item if you want to move to approve the 2023 capital budget, and I can take it from there.
Okay. I ask for a motion to approve the fiscal year 2023 capital budget request.
Motions.
And there's not a second that needs it, since you motioned it in, since it's a committee report. We don't have to do that.
Thank you.
Mr. Grant, would you like to say anything about the budget? Capital budget, Rudy?
The full listing of the projects are in your report packet. If anyone has any questions, happy to answer them.
So everyone on Zoom can hear, the projects are in the packet, and the committee, voted to recommend it, correct? Ms. Maxwell, at your last meeting? Okay, so with that, I will, call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The motion carries. Now, thank you for the report, Ms. Maxwell. Moving on to Human Resources and Diversity, Ms. Solomon.
Thank you. And first, I want to thank Mr. Roundtree and the other members who helped compose the report. Diversity audit update, we will receive $55,000 from the Maryland State Library for the diversity audit, and we will request the remaining $59,000 in an ARPA request. For the FY '23 budget request, there were no updates at this time. The background check policy, the library is seeking approval to implement a new background check policy. Implementing a background check on all new employees has been in the planning stages for several years, but Skip asking Mr. Roundtree to make this one of his priorities when he was hired. The background check costs will be covered by the library and will only apply to newly hired employees. The board members at this committee meeting all agreed to implement this policy. Name tags and business cards policy. The Public Services Department would like to update the name tag and business card policy. This new policy would give the flexibility for staff to use pronouns and languages spoken on their name tag. And we are separating the policy from the procedure. The board members at the committee meeting all agreed to implement this policy. And the COVID update, an update was provided regarding COVID-19. To date, Human Resources has received 353 vaccination cards or records. When a survey was conducted, HR received 311 responses, and 95% of those that responded had been vaccinated. The county has also provided an incentive for staff members to be vaccinated. The county will pay $1,000 to county employees that are fully vaccinated by November 30th. A COVID-19 procedure manual was created by Human Resources to provide the staff with direction on what to do with various COVID-19 scenarios. An updated banning policy. Public Service would like to update the banning policy to clarify expectations on who would be banned from the branches. We are also separating the policy from the procedures, and all board members agreed to implement the policy. Okay.
Thank you. And if you, do you have the agenda in front of you, ma'am? If you would like to just make a motion.
I have a question.
Ms. Beck?
Yes. What criteria are you looking for in background checks?
Before we do that, Ms. Beck, and we can answer that question. Let's just motion to if you like to make the motion, Ms. Solomon, on behalf of the committee.
Okay, the first one would be the motion to approve the background check policy.
Thank you. Mr. Roundtree, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, that's exactly sure what she means by criteria.
COVID, can you get closer to the mic? Thanks.
I'm not exactly sure what you mean by criteria, but generally it's just a basic information that an employee would have, their social security number, date of birth, things of that nature, and we run a full background check on them.
What are you looking for? Criminal?
Yes, criminal, yes,
Yeah.
any type of criminal activity. And
Financial, okay.
no, we do not.
What else? Anything else?
Yes, for those who drive, we do check a driving record. So we're looking for any activity regarding their driving record, any type of points, accidents, DUIs, things of that nature.
So you're looking at illegal behavior, sort of thing.
Sure, yes.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Roundtree? Hearing none, the motion's been made. All those in favor of approving the background check signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The motion carries. Now, the next item.
Okay, a motion to approve the library badges and business card policy.
All right, thank you. Is there any discussion? Are there any questions? Oh,
Question.
Ms. Beck.
Is this mandatory or is this a voluntary thing?
Ms. Hollerbeck?
Wearing of name.
Yeah.
If I understand what you're asking, it would be mandatory for staff to wear their name badges. Everyone will get a badge and it will be mandatory for them to wear it when out in public representing the library. And not everyone gets business cards with their names on them, but above a certain level they do. And then for frontline staff, they will have a blank business card that they can write their name on. Does that answer your question?
No, that isn't really what I was trying to get at, but
Okay.
what I was trying to get at is the pronoun thing. Is that going to be mandatory that everyone use a pronoun on their badges?
No, the name tags, they will have an option if they want to list their pronouns, they may. And they may, if they speak another language, they may list that. That is also not mandatory.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, are there any other questions? Hearing none. All those in favor to approve the library badges and business cards policy signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The motion carries. Ms. Solomon, would you like to introduce what the committee recommended last?
Okay, a motion to approve the banning policy.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Any questions? Dr. Sapp?
Mute himself. I think he's muted.
Sorry, I'm fighting a cold. Could I get a little bit of clarification about this? I read it last night, and I'm still not completely sure what we're going for.
Hollerbeck?
Sure. Sure. Did you have a specific question about it or no?
No, I read the policy and it wasn't clear to me kind of the criteria and could you just go over it for a minute? I would appreciate it.
Sure. So yes, okay, so it's right here. Basically what it's doing is saying that if the customers violate the code of conduct, depending on how many times they violate it, and depending on the severity of their offenses, we can ban them for a period of time. That is a tool that we can use to make sure that everyone is safe and complying. The previous banning policy had a lot of very specific examples that to me didn't, for instance, it would say anyone who's running the library could be banned. To me, that depends on the situation. If a 4-year-old is running in the library, we would not ban them. If an adult is running away from someone and chasing someone and they have a weapon, we would ban them, right? So to give the staff the ability to use their judgment, depending on the severity of the offense, whether it's someone that they have warned in the past. So this just gives an overall policy that we can ban if we need to, and then the policy about the lifetime ban, which would involve some legal action. The procedures will then be shared on the staff intranet to give them some more guidance about what is considered a severe offense and how to work with the customers to make them know that they are very welcome to be here and we want them to be here, but they do need to follow certain rules to make sure that they are safe and that everyone is safe.
Yeah, so this is sort of what I was getting at. It's a lot different banning someone for 3 months than banning them for life. And I think that the level that it should approach is different as well. I personally would like to see any lifetime ban come before the board. I don't know if that's tenable to other board members, but you are ending a pretty profound service. And there can be instances where that doesn't happen. So if you're convicted of a felony in the library, you don't need to ask me.
No, I see it. No, I've read it.
Yes, that is in the policy. That is, the Board of Trustees would definitely be involved if we wanted to institute a lifetime ban. We have very few of those.
Let me ask this, and hopefully it'll give everyone some, add some black and white. Staff can ban somebody for how long under this policy?
Well, most of the bans are for a day.
Yeah, of course.
But without going to the board,
yes,
it can go up to a year.
Okay.
Anything longer than that. Most of the severe bans that we would do as staff would be a year. That would be the most severe that staff would do. A lifetime ban would really be only for something as serious as you said, like a felony or a serious crime committed, or sometimes judges have sentenced, I guess, someone to a lifetime ban, and that has happened. And so we respect that.
What about 2 years? What would happen there?
So, yes, actually, it just says, if the customer adheres to the ban imposed by the Board of Trustees for a period of not less than 1 year, then the customer may submit an application to appeal. We typically haven't banned for 2 years. We do a year and we hope that they do better. And then if they don't, we do another year. That isn't specified in there. I could specify that.
If it's all right, let me add this as a friendly amendment. And please tell me if I'm going too out of bounds. If it's more than 1 year, you guys can impose it. But if they want to appeal it, then that's when it will come to the board at that point. And it has to be in writing.
That's very
After
in line
1
with
year.
what we're doing actually.
Yeah.
So.
So it gives you guys the flexibility to do, if something happens for a year, anything after that, they can appeal it to us.
Right.
And that will go in under the policy. Bans may be appealed by the library CEO by submitting a written complaint. And we can say, if the ban is over the course of a year of the ban, there will be that individual can appeal to the Board of Trustees. Donna, or do you need me to repeat that?
If you can repeat it one more time, I can just read it back.
Are you talking about right after where it says bans may be appealed to the CEO?
Yeah, after a year.
All right, so I'll type this too. and we can
Okay.
compare.
People give it.
Okay, if bans are issued by staff, will it be by you or by someone?
It would be by someone in the branch.
So, okay, by library staff, we'll do a catch-all. For more than a year of the incident, that individual may appeal to the Board of Trustees through a written request.
This is a ban for all libraries.
Correct. Our bans are always for all branches.
Okay, and but they still have access to online services or?
No, their cards are blocked, so they cannot use online services or checkout for that year,
And,
for that time.
and correct me if I'm wrong, and I think this is context for everyone, if you guys have to ban somebody for a year, I mean, you must have done something.
Oh,
Yeah, hard, like,
yes,
um,
assault,
so, yeah, like,
serious theft.
our staff doesn't deserve to deal with that type of treatment from a customer, for that period of time. Also, does the, due process, does the ban have to be in writing?
We have a banning letter that we give to them. Yes.
Okay, and just for policy purposes, add on to that as well, all bans issued to, patrons or other individuals will, be in writing as soon as appropriate. Just because if you have to throw them out, you can't type it up and say, get out.
Right, now, if we do a ban, so I think we do a written letter if it's more than a month. I think it's if it's more than a month. So if they were just telling some kids, you know what, you've had it for today. We
Okay.
really need you to go for the day, come back tomorrow. It's not really a ban exactly, but we're telling them.
Let's do it in writing no matter what, because if it gets to the point where it has to come to us, we have a written record of you've done too much. If we don't have that, it's.
So we usually only do it for, if we ban them for more than a month.
Do we put it in an incident report?
Not necessarily. It's sometimes we have groups of kids. If we wrote letters for those groups of kids every day that we ask them to leave, that is quite a lot.
I think it might work best if we say,
Over 18.
all bans a month or more will be in writing.
That's actually how we do it now.
Okay.
That really would help
No,
us
that- yeah.
logistically. Because sometimes the small things,
Yeah.
it would be a lot, and that's not gonna escalate to you.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah,
being
of
asked
course.
at the end of the day.
No,
you
the
know.
point is, from a due process standpoint, we just want to make sure if it comes to a point of where it does come to us, that we have a written report of
Yeah.
what occurred, so we can make the best judgment.
Okay,
And
so
it
would
would
you,
rarely jump to something that big without.
In question, think about it. What if they're coming to the library to vote?
Very interesting question.
Yeah, that's the question. And under our policy, it's kind of binding.
Well, when they come to vote, they're not using library services. I mean, they are technically not in the library, they're in a polling place.
It would still be on library property, though. Do you want us to put in an exception for
Yeah,
that? That
exactly.
seems fair, and we have just never had that question before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Skip's gonna add that right at the end there, but that's a very good question, because I wouldn't want to stop it.
And also say some language that they have to leave afterwards, so that they
They're
can't
there
just
to
try to
vote.
linger
And
around,
they
leave,
No,
yeah.
That's a very good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay.
So,
Anything else?
the subtext for this question, as someone that heard first from my mom and then from my wife about issues like this, is really to protect our staff. Is your belief that this policy will protect staff adequately at the point of service? Look, especially the smaller libraries do not have security. So this policy in many instances is what they have.
Correct.
Do we feel like
sorry.
this is going to be enough?
This is the policy the procedure that we've already been following. And I do believe that the staff feels supported by this policy.
Okay.
The question is, and it's the hard part of trying to control somebody else's behavior at the end of the day. That's just my opinion speaking,
Oh, yeah.
of course.
it
But
gives
I
us-
think this tool is the best we can do, and it has so many different components to it and so many. If it continues to escalate, then we can do a lifetime ban as well. But
Thank you very much.
thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Sapp. Did you have a question or a comment or red
I'm
flag?
thinking through it. No, I'm just thinking through your point of recording these things as they come up, because sometimes one-offs, I would imagine, do come up and you just send somebody But what happens if you have a number of one-offs by the same person in 3 months?
Right.
And nobody's communicating that to the branch manager or
Yes,
whoever.
so for the most part, you wouldn't ask someone to leave for the day without the branch manager being informed. We would definitely tell them about it. And once it gets to the point of a pattern, we're starting to ask them to leave all the time, then we do an incident report. And so there is a paper trail, a
That makes
significant paper trail, if we would get to the point of something like this. It would be very rare for someone to come in and be banned or even have a serious punishment out of the blue. They're usually regular customers who have been warned, they know our rules. So yeah, absolutely, the manager would be in the loop and we would start to document if it becomes a pattern and a problem.
Yeah, makes sense.
Ms. Solomon?
I think we need all of these policies also, not only for protection of staff, but for the protection of the patrons of the library.
Would you be kind to read my friendly amendment?
Oh, okay, so so you have the policy as it was presented to you today. What is amended, friendly amendment and accepted is in the first section, right before you get to the highlighted section that's called lifetime ban. That last paragraph reads, bans may be appealed to the library CEO by submitting a written request. The new amendment begins right here. If bans are issued by library staff for more than a year, that individual may appeal to the Board of Trustees through a written request. All bans of 1 month or more will be in writing
And documented by the appropriate office as designated by the chief executive officer.
Okay, all bans of 1 month or more will be in writing.
And will be housed in the appropriate office as designated by the chief executive officer.
They are filed on our intranet in the incident.
But if something happens down the line where we don't use the
Okay.
internet, you guys have the flexibility to make that.
So, and then there's one more
Termination to house
sentence, but let me reread. Let me go back to what's added. I'll start from the beginning of what is amended. If bans are issued by library staff for more than a year, that individual may appeal to the Board of Trustees through a written request. All bans of 1 month or more will be in writing and will be housed in the appropriate office as designated by the CEO. Anyone coming to a library to vote will be allowed. They have to leave immediately after voting.
I have a question. If it's within the year, within the calendar year? I mean, within, you could do it.
It's a year from the date of the banning.
Okay, so it's.
If somebody comes in today and has a 1 year ban, they're allowed back on October 21st of 2022. 1 month ban, it would be November 21st of 2021.
All right, I move that amendment. Is there a second?
I second.
Second, Ms. Smith seconds. Is there any discussion on the amendment? All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The motion carries. Now, as amended, the motion to approve the banning policy. Ms. Solomon made the motion, and since it's a committee report, we don't need a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The motion carries as amended. Thank you very much for that robust conversation. Governance, strategy, and organization. Ms. Smith, would you like to give an overview of what happened at your September meeting and introduce the motion?
Okay, I'm going to start with the memo of understanding with the foundation.
Would you also, before you do, whatever, yes.
Well, do you want me to start with the capital budget request?
Yes, I would say go over what you guys discussed high level, then save the MOU for last sentence. We have to vote on
We
it.
looked at the timeline for future branches, either renovation or reconstruction or construction of new branches, because each one has to be in there for future budgets. And sometimes we have to re-request money for whatever stage we're at. But I don't actually remember, Will, we approved the slate. And the vote was unanimous. Did that have to come to the Board of Trustees too? I thought it
For
was
the-
just with the governance.
I'm sorry,
Well, the notes say Laura moved to approve the slate. And I assume that means the branches that we discussed.
yes, I think Donna sent out that list, or,
One of the staff members on your committee took those minutes.
How do you make? I mean, we didn't have much discussion other than the conversation of why do we have to continue to include the same projects on a capital budget every year?
yeah.
That's it.
As far as I knew, there wasn't anything further that we needed to vote on.
Yep, that's right. Now, would you like to go over the MOU?
Okay, the memo of understanding with the foundation, we went over it, made some edits. Kevin Best looked at it. The county law office looked at it. There are 22 parts to it. It's how we deal with the foundation and the people, the employees that we share between, that are paid for by the library budget or the foundation budget. So we went over all that and we basically approved what we had, the draft. And I guess that means that the full board has to then approve that?
Yeah, so if you want to make the motion now, or if you have.
Sure. I move that we approve the memo of understanding with the foundation.
Thank you. So with that, and thank you for the report,
I'm not done, but go ahead.
Oh,
Got one more thing.
Oh, okay.
You want me to do that?
I'm sorry?
Shouldn't we vote on the?
Yeah, I'm doing that. That's
Okay, all right.
With that, is there any discussion?
So I would just like to point out in your board effect, there are two places where the MOU is listed. You will see it says proposed MOU. And then below that, it says resolution approving the MOU. And below that, it's memorandum of understanding. So I'm sorry for the multiple places you have it, but I wanted to explain the proposed MOU is what went to the committee, and that's what went to the foundation board, which voted on September 28th to approve this MOU. So they have approved it. The third item on there is the exact same MOU, but I removed the watermark where it said final draft as a watermark. And I added the title of the MOU on that document. So the title of it states Memorandum of Understanding between the boards of Anne Arundel County Public Library and Anne Arundel County Public Library Foundation. So that is what you're voting on. It is the exact same document that the governance strategy and organization committee approved to take to the board.
Kathleen, would you like to say anything? Hallelujah, we're done with this.
No, I don't need to say anything. The foundation board did review it on their meeting of September 28th and unanimously approved it.
Thank you.
And then it came to all of you.
And I would just like to expand just a little bit on one of the items that Jan Elaine mentioned, and that is that the primary discussion with our attorneys was to try to make sure we did not create dual employment for the foundation employees. And so that it's very clearly stated that these are library employees, not foundation employees. And so I want to just, if you read it carefully, you will see that. And that was a main thing that we wanted to make sure we didn't create that type of a situation. Everybody who reviewed it, and it was from the beginning, it was Will, along with the foundation president, Karen Smith, and foundation vice president, Chris Nelson, working with Kathleen and I. And I do want to credit Kathleen with having done the initial research, looking at a number of other libraries that have foundations and developing what formed the basis of what you have before you today.
So with that, are there any questions, concerns? Thank you, Ms. Smith, for having your committee review that and bringing that to us. Hearing none, since the motion was made, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The motion carries.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was my summer vacation, guys, by the way, living with this MOU.
Well,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have one more thing.
Of course.
I did adopt a library. I did assign branches. Brooke, I sent you and Sandra, unfortunately, a copy of all my exchanges with Donna, but at the bottom of it comes my letter about the assigned library branches. I tried to first of all, I left assignments to people who had already established relationships as far as I knew. And after that, people who seemed to not be assigned, I tried to make it as close to your home as I could. I think it's more important that it is convenient for you to go in, drop by, see, bring things, than it is to be in a strange branch somewhere that makes you more aware. That's a great idea, but I know how busy everybody here is, and I know how hard that is. So if I made a mistake, son, okay, where were you, hon?
Administration building. And
Okay.
made a connection with him for 2 years.
The last one I had was, the last copy I had was you with that.
With Savannah Park, no,
Uh-huh.
never got to Savannah Park, it was changed.
Okay.
And I was given the administration.
Well, that's why I said, just everybody email me whatever's different.
Yeah.
So Brooke, I'll have to.
I'll respond, because if that opens up Broadneck, that's right where I live. So that would be
Okay.
ideal for me, and that sounds like that will open up.
Yeah, then we can just
So I'll
change that.
I'll shoot you an email.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's great.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, Ms. Miller?
Because I heard a comment and I won't say where it came from at all. But I just want to clarify, because the foundation also has Adopt a Library. In fact, it started with the foundation initially. So they have representatives to the different branches, and we do. And the difference between us and them is that the foundation, they make their acquaintance, they bring cookies, maybe takes the branch manager out to lunch. It's not a long-term thing. It's just a gesture of goodwill, as I see it has happened. But our piece of it, our board, when we go out to the library, it's a commitment for the whole year to touch base, whether it be by email or dropping in or seeing a program or two, but making a presence in that branch. That's what's important to do. They really do count on us to come in and see what's going on and make a presence. That's the difference between our doing it and the foundation doing it. The foundation is a token that we go out there, but it's not a year-long thing. For us, it's really a year-long commitment. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Are there any other questions?
Savannah Park? Is that what you're doing, Savannah Park?
Nope.
Okay.
If possible, we can just strain it all out at the next governance committee meeting.
People, please email me, because I've worked from 2 lists. I've done my best. Obviously, neither list was appropriate. So please let me know. I don't know whether I can accommodate you or not. So if you don't like how it turned out, I may not be able to accommodate you, but we'll see. I'll try.
And there's always next month for our committee meetings. So that's.
I'm done.
Thank you very much, Ms. Smith. There are no reports under the committee as a whole for the school board. My favorite part of the meeting, motion to.
Board. School board. You said committee of the whole for the school board.
Oh, I'm sorry. Committee of the whole for this board. So now my favorite part, and I'm ending right on time, so I'm especially excited. Motion to adjourn. Ms. Salmon, we stand adjourned.
Now, I think we all ought to reassemble down there with Leslie.